So, as a former coach at the University of Oregon, what is a few things that you guys look for in a player when recruiting them?
I feel like there's a few things that kind of stand out. Like I'm gonna start here. There's a few.
But what are the
things,
non-negotiables?
the non-negotiables? The non-negotiables, no matter what, you gotta be a baller, bro. That's all it comes down to it. If you have the film, so let me start with this. Like when the coaches watch your film, the 10-second rule, that's all 100%. Right? Like there's too much film for coaches to look at for them to be like, all right, I'm gonna sit down and watch 5 minutes of this, 5 minutes of this. No. They got recruiting dudes for each position, right? So those dudes will watch the first 10 seconds of film. And if it jumps out to them, then they'll tell the coaches like, yo, check this player out. And obviously measurables and all of that. But if you're jumping out on film and it stands out, you're gonna get recruited. Like whether if it's at your dream school or a FCS, really doesn't matter. You're gonna get recruited, which is hopefully the goal for everybody. But film is number one. Like that's the number one standout. And if you don't have that, then measurables can make up a big part of that as well, right? So, like I said in a previous video, if you have the measurables and coaches are offering you, it doesn't mean that you can just commit to that school right away. They still want to see a lot more from you, and they expect a lot more from you, right? So it doesn't stop there. You still have a lot more to prove.
A player is short player, maybe 5'7", 5'8". What is your advice to them if they dream of going to Oregon?
So what position would that be though? Like, because I feel like that depends too. Like if you're a 5'7", 5'8" D lineman,
Yeah,
give up on
best chance you have to play at Oregon is probably walking on. Just keeping 100%. Like, right, and they might not even take you as a walk on. But if you're a 5'7", 5'8" running back, or
so it depends on position.
Yeah, definitely depends on position. I know the first thing they do if you were to come on a visit, right? Say you are in your bio, you're 6'3", right, and you play D-line, right? The second you get on campus, literally as you walk through the doors, they're gonna measure you, right? Because they just want to see, like, all right, we want to see how much of 6'3" are you, or how much of 6'5" you say you are in your bio, right? And measure your hands and all that. But is that the deciding factor between them saying I'm gonna offer you or not? No. We've offered kids where they came in and they were 3 inches shorter than what they said they were on their huddle and all of that.
Right. So there's no point of lying on your huddle and Twitter.
No. If you want to give yourself 1 inch, go for it. You know what I mean? But
we all been there.
Yeah. Like I give myself an inch before or 15 pounds. You know what I mean? For it to look good online. But the fact of the matter is, if they're interested enough in you to come on a visit,
right.
They're interested in something, right? So they know, this dude may not have the measurables that he says he is, but we're still going to measure it. But that's not the deciding factor of it.
Right. What is your thoughts on players getting held back?
I think it's great. I think it's like, so I put it like this. When you get to college and you redshirt because you're not ready, you're going against grown men, right? Some people can come in and play right away. So in high school, right, the development from a freshman to a senior rather than a freshman to a senior in college is a lot different, right? Like kids are hitting puberty as a freshman in high school or, you know what I mean? Like their body development is nowhere near as much as a senior is, right? A senior is almost a grown man. He's almost 18 years old. You got a kid coming in that's 15. Maybe his body hasn't developed enough. Get held back. You know what I mean? That's another year of development where you can come into high school and possibly compete for a starting job or try to get on varsity rather than, right? Say you didn't get held back and you went in as an 8th grader and now you got to hit the weight room extra hard because you realize you're not there yet. And then it's sophomore year, right? You're going into sophomore year and you're like, oh, shoot. Maybe you didn't take it as serious freshman year and then you're playing JV your sophomore year because I need 1 more year. And then it's junior year. You know what I mean? So I feel like getting held back is definitely, that's a big benefit. I would recommend it for kids that need that extra year of development. I personally didn't get held back though, and it worked out for me. But I can't say everybody is 6'2", 220 going into high school.
Right.
So I was blessed with my size and kind of took advantage of like the opportunity I had.
If a player is committed to a school, would you recommend them to enroll early or to stay back and take that time to hang out with the fam while they can?
Don't do that. Enroll early. I came in the summer and I was overwhelmed. I had realized I'm not as big or strong as all the kids that are in front of me. I'm not as good as those kids. Correct that, they're not kids, they're grown men. They're getting ready to go play in the NFL. I was not better than them. And they were a lot smarter than me. They had more experience, right? So I had to focus on getting bigger, faster, stronger, learning the playbook, and working on my skills all 1 month before fall camp. And that was extremely overwhelming for me, just in my head, because, you know, everyone thinks they're going to come to college and be the man, walk in day one and play. You know what I mean? Everyone's going to be, oh, my goodness, that's that 4 or 5-star recruit that was in high school. Like, let me go up to him and be his friend. No, they don't give a damn about who you are. All that disappears. Enroll early. If you can, enroll early. Get used to school. Get used to building an elite schedule, being a pro, right? So that when the rest of the kids come in June, bro, you've already technically been there for a whole spring circuit, a whole off season, the workouts after that, really 3 phases before they come in, which is really like a whole year. So enroll early if you can.
If someone wanted to guarantee never getting recruited, what can they do?
That's a good question.
Having
Just off the top of your head, like as
Yeah,
a coach,
okay.
you see a kid,
Yeah.
if he has this, I am not taking you.
Oh, just like the shit he posts on his social
100%,
media will
bro.
immediately
Yeah.
they look at your character.
But hold on, let him
and he-
get in because it's on the camera.
Yeah, I'm telling him to say
Yeah.
talk about that because he knows.
Yeah, definitely. I would say the stuff you repost and the stuff that you do post. Like, if you try to be that dude that's like aesthetically pleasing and make your profile picture like some anime character that you love, and you only follow 15 people and you're getting fake followers and you're posting shit that doesn't matter for football, then I'm gonna open your profile and be like, who is this kid? Like, this is not the kid that I watched filmed on. Next. You know what I mean? So, like, unless you're Mikey Williams or someone that's him, doesn't need to be promoting himself,
Physical specimen.
a specimen that
Yeah.
markets himself, right? If you're just you know what I mean, a good football player, but you're trying to be that person, don't do that, because you're not gonna get recruited. Coach is gonna look at you dumb, right? And that's not you. You're just trying to be someone that you're not. So, you know, make yourself marketable. Do the things that all your coaches are telling you to do, right? And don't try to be this person that's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be the Mr. Cool guy, Mr. Influencer. Bro, no, don't do that.
What are your thoughts on parents paying for offers? You see, you know, there's a lot of gurus out there who are saying, hey, pay me $9,000 and I'll call this college to give you a fake offer to start up the recruiting process for you. Do you find any benefit in doing that? Or do you think that just leads to problems down the road?
So I had someone that helped me with recruiting, and we didn't pay $9,000, but paid like a fee for him to help with my recruiting because I had limited film. And I would say for me personally, it did help. But like I said, obviously there's a lot of factors that go into it. I will say this, you know, non-committable offers, it could help you because a lot of colleges, they're waiting to offer Johnny, right? But they don't want to be the first to offer Johnny because what if Johnny don't get all these other P5 offers or D1 offers and we're the only school that offered him, right? But once somebody does offer him, say it's like a lower division D1 school, right? Then everyone starts pulling the trigger because they're like, okay, the film that I watched is true. I did a good evaluation, right? Even though that offer that he got may not be committable, a lot of schools are pulling the trigger on that kid now because they see someone did. So I would say in some cases it will be good, right? But I feel like as a recruit, you need to understand the offers that you're getting and the relationship that you have with those coaches. If your relationship is not that strong, you got offered because someone said, hey, bro, this coach offered you, you can post it. Might not want to be bragging about that or, you know what I mean, thinking about going on a visit to that school if you're not in direct communication with that coach, right? Or on the other hand, if you are strongly communicating with a coach and he offers you, right, keep that connection, right? Because that's going to be a school that down the line you can't commit to. right? But it all depends on the relationship that you have with that coach, right? If the coach is not talking to you every day or every month or every week, they probably aren't that interested in you. And that offer might not be on the table in the next season or two. So that's something to think about. But in the short answer, I think it is beneficial. Me personally, through my experience.
In terms of outreach, do you find it beneficial as a former coach at the University of Oregon for players to reach out via email? Is that effective? Because you see online there's a lot of people giving their strategies on, oh, you got to email and say this, this, and that. Were you guys actually looking through the emails and looking for that stuff? Or is there a better option?
Hell no. We didn't look at no emails, bro. I'm gonna keep it a band with you guys. Ain't no coach in the world has enough time to be looking through their emails for film. Right? The number one tool for getting your film to coaches is social media. That's the only way. That's as simple as it can be. Email may be the case for other sports like softball, baseball. I don't know. But me personally, for football, email is not the way to get your film to coaches. It's through social media, right? So the ways that all these recruiting experts are telling you how to shoot your film out to coaches online, I would go by that model because that's exactly what I did and it worked. As well as a lot of other people in my inner circle did the same thing to get their film out. So social media, number one.
And that's like specific, what platforms should they go all in on? Is that Twitter, Snapchat?
Number one is Twitter. Twitter is the number one way to market yourself for football.
X now.
Yeah, X. Yeah, X is the number one way to promote yourself for football, definitely. Instagram, I felt like coaches recently have started been using Instagram, but I don't really see that as a major tool for football. But I would still model my Instagram as my X account if I'm trying to get recruited as well, because you never know, right? Coaches could be on Instagram scrolling, you pop up, right, and then it's just as accessible as your X account. So definitely Twitter.
If you were in the situation where you had no offers, but you had a PWO, would you take the PWO or would you take your chances with junior college? Which one do you think is more effective?
It depends on the situation. I feel like, to answer your question, I would say definitely it depends on the situation. So, yeah, a kid that's happy to be on the team, probably was all league at whatever small school he was at, but his dream school is Oregon, his dream school is Alabama, right? I would say that's probably more beneficial than to take the PWO because they're probably not going to get recruited at JUCO. Could, but who knows, right? Shoulda, coulda, woulda. A kid that, right, maybe he had a stellar senior year, balled out, right? But a few things don't check the boxes for coaches to pull that trigger. I would go JUCO because I feel like that would be more of an opportunity for coaches to really look at them, right, balling against other competition that are either D1 bounce backs or kids that should have made it because of their grades, whatever, right? If you ball out at that level, you can get offered. Prime example, I had someone on the podcast, right? Close friend of mine, Sela Pamasa, right? Didn't even play his senior year in high school. Like, was on special teams, but he didn't get rotated in the linebacker rotation. Almost quit playing football and decided to go JUCO, bet on himself. He's 5'10", plays middle linebacker, right? Ended up having 2 JUCO All-American years, got multiple D1 offers, right? So that's someone that didn't check the box for size, literally had 0 film from his senior year of varsity, and almost said, fuck it, I'm not going to play football no more. But bet on himself, went JUCO, and then ended up getting D1 offers. So I think the JUCO route is definitely more beneficial.
What is the honest truth or life of a PWO player in college football?
The honest life for a PWO player, for me personally, I thought that they were personally some of the coolest people on the team, because they truly love football more than 80% of the people that were on scholarship. I could say that because they're choosing to be there, and they're working just as hard as everybody else that's on scholarship, right? But they don't get all the perks of those dudes, or they're getting looked at differently by coaches, right? So the brutal honesty of it is, no matter how good you are, unless you're Clay Matthews, but a lot of coaches just write you off, kind of, in a way. I know I had multiple PWO players that I played with where they were honestly better than some of the scholarship players, but because the coaches invested a scholarship on that player, right? And they, you know what I mean? That's somebody that they personally offered. They're already over them in the depth chart. So, you know, it's a really hard situation to be in, I feel like. And in my opinion, it could be unfair in a lot of situations for people that do work hard and are good enough, right? But the brutal honesty of it is you're going to get overlooked. And I'm not saying that to discourage you, right?
But be prepared.
But be prepared for that. Yeah, be prepared for that, right? Still work hard. And I say the biggest opportunities a lot of PWO players will get to be on the field is special teams, though. So if you're making the most of those opportunities, you're getting turnovers, right? Making plays, coaches will put you on the field eventually in the game, right? May not be as soon as you want it to be, right? But you'll be on the field.
How do you know when it's time to transfer or if you just need to stay and fight it out?
Okay, I'll explain this. So I should have transferred before I got hurt, right? So my junior year, I didn't play as much as I wanted to or as much as I felt like I deserved. Does that matter? No, right? Because I'm not going to sit here and feel bad for myself. But going into my senior year, I made a decision to stay because 3 starters on the D-line were hurt, and I felt like I had a chance to prove myself, right? But during that spring ball, when I thought I was making progress, secretly we had 2 kids coming over in the transfer portal, which are 2 of my best friends to this day. You know, shout out Casey and my boy Jordo, right? All love. But in that situation, I should have known, right? No matter what I did, right? Right when they came in, they were going to be over me in the depth chart. So that's something I would say, that's when I knew I should have transferred, personally, for me, right? Things happened. I got hurt, ended up coaching, right? But anyways, I would say, right, if you got dudes coming in and are already over you in the depth chart without them doing anything, right, there's something going on in that staff meeting where coaches are like, yeah, we're going to take this kid and I already want to take him. Yeah, personal agendas, right? Coaches got personal agendas.
It's going to be an uphill battle for you.
Yes, very much so an uphill battle. They're going to be coming in with a lot more leverage over you in the depth chart and playing, coaches liking them than you do, right? Because of something you may have done to turn them off, or they just written you off in their head with, yeah, I don't really like this kid. He has to do something amazing for him to be able to break the depth chart now. So, yeah, definitely personal agendas. I wouldn't look too into that, though, if I'm a freshman or sophomore, right? But as you're going into your 3rd or 4th year, if you're starting to see those things, I would say that's kind of like a time that you probably want to bounce, right? Or if you just hate it there, right? Like, sometimes it's your environment. If you hate the situation that you're in and you're constantly thinking about how much you hate it, maybe you just need to get out of there, right? Because your mind is everything, I would say.
What are some signs from coaches that if you see that, you should be worried?
They're not coaching you hard, right? So if you're doing I would say for indies, like for us, definitely, like you could see it right away. Like all the veterans are going first, right? And then all the way to the back where the walk-ons are going last, right? So if the coaches aren't coaching you hard enough or you didn't do that good and the coach is like, get your ass back and do another rep, right? If you're going and you had the shittiest rep out of everybody, but the coach is like, okay, good job.
We expected that.
Yeah, okay, cool, next, right? You should be worried. Right, because the coaches is not coaching you up how they're coaching up Mr. Johnny 5-star All-American, right? Get your ass back over here, do another rep. Nah, they're like, you're done, get out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
your ass.
Yeah. So if they're not coaching you hard, I feel like that goes universal for all
Or
sports.
if they're just looking at their clipboard while you're doing it.
yeah. You know, or if you're not getting any reps, just things like that. Things that I feel like pretty self-explanatory, but yeah, that's like the biggest one, I would say.
If you get injured as a high school football player, how does that affect your recruiting process, and how can you overcome that hurdle?
Getting injured in high school definitely affects your recruiting process. All the recruiting coordinators let position coaches know when players get hurt, right? This dude got hurt at this game. I don't know how serious it is. Make sure you check in on him, see how he's doing. Right, so for my case, I had a major nerve injury my junior year in high school. Right, going into my junior year, I had like 20 plus offers. Right, I was getting recruited by a bunch of schools. Right, but once I had that serious injury, a lot of schools stopped talking to me. And even in some case, the school that I ended up going to, they stopped talking to me for a little bit as well because they didn't know the severity of my injury. And they actually had to come back. So when I recovered, boom, fast forward, I recovered. I was practicing in spring ball. They had to come back to reevaluate me to see if I was healthy enough, right? So if I did want to commit to their school, they would take me, right? So when they saw that I was healthy enough, all of that, they were like, cool, you can commit, all of that, right? But if the injury affected me enough to where, like, I wasn't the same player, or, you know, maybe I look a step slower, I wasn't as good, right? That school wouldn't have taken me. So injuries affect your recruiting process to a certain extent. Make sure you're recovering fully, right, before you're telling these coaches to come back and you're talking to them and all of that. So if you do look a step slower and stuff, they're not going to pull their offer from you.
What do you think about these football influencers that are saying that going to camps is a waste of your time and money?
Going to certain camps is a waste of time and money, right? Go to college camps. Go to campuses and camp with them at their campus, at their college camps. Go to satellite camps. Those are the best camps to go to, right? Where there's multiple colleges at a camp and you can perform in front of multiple schools, not just one.
But not this camp hosted by this.
No, don't
little
go to
local-
USA football camps, right? Or National Prep Showcase camp. You know what I mean? Like, don't go to those showcase camps where there's nobody there to showcase to, right? Other than the parents that are there watching their kids.
We'll send the footage.
Yeah, we'll send the footage to this school, whatever, right? Don't go to those camps. Those are, for the most part, money grabs, right? Am I saying you're not going to get better from these camps? No, you'll probably get better just from getting into working with the other kids, right? But it's a money grab. You're not going to get recruited from those camps, so don't go.
What are some football myths or superstitions that are just not true? Maybe not superstitions, but what are some football myths that are just not true?
You don't need to play 3 years of varsity in order to get recruited. For me personally, my sophomore year, I had a loaded D-line in front of me, played limited, right? My junior year, still got a lot of scholarships my sophomore year going into the junior year, just because of my measurables and my raw athletic ability, right? But I had limited film, right? So going into my junior year, I was hurt, didn't play much, played like 2 games, right? So I really didn't start until my senior year. My senior year was my only year of starting the full season on varsity, right? Had a great year, ended up going D1, right? So honestly, it doesn't take 3 years of varsity film. Does 3 years of varsity film help you? 100%. Yes. I'm not saying you only need to start 1 year to go D1. But what I'm saying is, right, it only takes 1 year of great film and experience, right, for coaches to be like, yo, that's, you know, this player's doing some crazy stuff, I need to offer him, right? Because if you're putting stuff on film that will grab college coaches' attention your senior year, right, versus your sophomore year, it doesn't matter, right? If you're putting on film, you're putting on film. They want you, they want you. So 3 years versus 1 year doesn't really matter. Just make sure you're putting the right stuff on your highlight tape.
What is the fastest way to turn off a college coach?
The fastest way to turn off a college coach is acting like you're him. Acting like you're, you know what I mean? Being a prima donna. So you go on a college visit, right? You're not looking the coach in their eye. You're acting like, you know, you guys want me here more than I want to be here. I can go to any school that I want to. So, you know, how much are you guys willing to do to get me, right? That's right to a certain extent, right? Certain players that are the best in the nation can do that because coaches are like, I don't care what his attitude is. I just want him because he's such a baller, right? But if you're, you know, if you're a good football player, a little bit above average, right, don't be that dude. Be respectful. Is being respectful going to get you an offer? No, right? But is being a dickhead going to turn coaches off? Yes, right? So don't be an a-hole. Like, just be good, be respectful, like how your parents told you to, and it'll go a long ways for you in the recruiting game.
People say you need to be a dog. Can you define what is a dog and what does it look like to be a dog?
Yeah, being a dog is not giving the team a pregame speech before the game, right? Saying, you know, you're willing to die for the team and going out there on Fridays, right? But then when Monday comes around for practice, you're in the training room telling the trainer you got a headache and you can't practice, right? That's not what being a dog is. Being a dog is playing a game every single day, right? So that when the game comes, you already played it, right? You're just going out there and doing what you did in practice, right? So I would say the preparation you go harder in your preparation so that when the game comes, it's easy. You already got the answers to the test. So being a dog is not only playing in the game, it's waking up early, right, to do some extra, getting the extra lift in after practice, watching film a different way than other players, doing all the things as a pro to get yourself prepared for the game.
And last question. You have the private schools like St. John Bosco, Mater Dei, Bishop Gorman's. Why would you as a high school football player need to go to those schools? And then why should you not go to those schools?
Okay, you need to go to a private school like St. John Bosco or Mater Dei because nobody's getting more exposure at that school than they are, right? So say you're a good football player, but you're not getting that recruited, right? You're still going to have the Nick Sabans, the Dabo Sweeneys, Dan Lannings coming to practice every day to see your teammates, right? So if you do your thing in front of those coaches and they're like, whoa, who's this kid, right? That probably wouldn't happen at your local, hometown school where Dan Lanning or Nick Saban, these big-time coaches aren't going to be coming to your school every day to see your teammates, right? So if you do have a good practice, they're not going to see that, right? So there's so much college exposure. The level of football is so high at that school. You got major media outlets covering every single game, right? There's literally every way for you to get seen and get exposure without you even having to go out of your way to do that, other than going to that school, right, and performing. So I'll say that's the reason to go to St. John Bosco or Mater Dei. The reason not to go to St. John Bosco or Mater Dei, right, is if you aren't somebody that's, if you're not a dog, right? If you go to the school and you're not a dog, but your big cousin played there and you always dreamed of playing there, right? And you end up going to St. John Bosco or Mater Dei and not playing at all because I just wanted to wear the jersey, right? Or I'm not good enough. I'm getting passed up by kids, right? That's a reason not to go to these schools, right? If you're a good football player, right, and you want to play early, go to your local schools. Be the man at your school, right? If you are the man at your school and you end up building enough status for yourself by your sophomore year, transfer to St. John Bosco or Mater Dei, right? Go be the man.
But at the end of the day, it's probably most beneficial to end up there.
End up there, yes, 100%.
Don't listen to all these people, hometown, homegrown.
Yeah. Nah, hometown, homegrown, all that, right? Cool, right? Go do your thing at your school. Right, but if St. John Bosco or Mater Dei is your dream school, right, and you're a pretty good football player, go be the man at your local school for a little bit, right? Build yourself some status, right, so that when you do transfer in, right, the coaches want you to be there, right? You're not the one that's wanting to be there more so, and right, you're not putting on the St. John Bosco jersey and saying like, oh yeah, I got Bosco or Mater Dei on my jersey, I'm good, I'm good with life, you know what I mean? But yeah, that's the reason why I would say not to start off going to Bosco.
What are some health tips that you can give to young football players in terms of nutrition and dieting?
Eat whole foods. Cut out your processed foods. What do I mean by that? Eat chicken, beef, fish, steak, all those things, rice, potatoes, things that are whole foods. Processed foods are things like pizza rolls, Hot Pockets, dinosaur chicken nuggets, all those things that you can warm up in a microwave or put in the oven real fast that's processed. Try to stay away from those, right? You're a kid right now. It probably doesn't matter to you, right? You're probably still going to have the energy that you had yesterday if you're eating those foods, right? But in the long run, it'll pay off, right? You'll see differences in the development of people's bodies, right, as you go to college, right? The people that start to take their diet seriously, right, you see it translate to them on the field and in their body, right? So the faster that you can do that, the faster you'll start to look like someone that's in college. So eat more whole, non-processed foods, right? Up your protein, right? If you need more carbs, eat more carbs. But I'm going to keep it honest with you guys. You really don't need as much carbs as they say that you do on the, nutritionally every day.
Facts.
Like for me personally, when I started to cut my carbs in half and I upped my protein, that's when I saw the biggest gains in college, right? When I was gaining weight, it was because I was upping my protein and I wasn't eating as much carbs as I said I needed to, right? You'll feel it if you need to eat more carbs, right? You'll feel like you're physically weak, but you don't need to eat as much carbs as they say you do. That's me personally. That's how I felt.
Carbs for energy.
Yeah, carbs are for energy. That's what I would say. So
don't need to be eating fucking sandwiches at 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, nah.
You know what I'm saying, before the next day's practice.
You know what I mean?
That's what I learned.
But yeah, inputs and outputs, right? If you're outputting a lot, you're gonna have to eat more than the average person, right? But I would say that for nutrition, definitely.
How important is weightlifting as a football player? You see the people who hide behind the whole speed kills just so that they don't have to lift the weights, when in reality they should be lifting weights. How important is it for a player to take the weight room serious?
The weight room is extremely serious. The faster you realize that in high school, the faster I feel like it'll translate to you getting on the field in college. Yeah, so for example, there were some kids that didn't know how to power clean when we got to college, right? So it took them an extra month just to learn how to power clean, right? So in that extra month, I grew my power clean max 50 pounds while they were just trying to learn how to even power clean in general, right, with the bar. So it's a huge difference. It'll translate onto the field, right? And as a cornerback, right, speed kills, say you're the fastest dude on the team, right? But when you're going out to practice and you're working, bubble screen drills where you got to go up, press a receiver, right, and make a tackle, right? If that receiver 6'5", 220, you can't put on your back, right? And speed's not going to save you doing that, right? So the weight room is everything. Developing your body, definitely in the trenches, I feel like that was a big time piece, right? You're not going to go in and be the man at DN, right, if you're not lifting as well when you're going against dudes that are 23 and they're 6'6", 300, running 4.9s, right? They're grown men. You can get put on your back. So make sure you're able to, make sure you're able to lift, and just for the safety and the health of it, right? If you're not able to lift and you're not taking the weight room that seriously, it's a big health hazard when you get to that level, because you can get hurt a lot faster than some of these kids that's, tended to their joints, their ankles, their knees, right, by lifting heavy and doing those things, putting that pressure on their joints so that when they do put on the pads, right, it's not a big shock to their body. So I'll say that for sure.
If someone wanted to improve their NIL status, or their NIL earning potential, what are some things they can start doing as a high school football player?
Obviously, you have to be the man in order to get paid, right? But start working on your brand now, right? In high school, I wish that's something that I did more, right? In high school, I was really concerned about, I didn't want people to think like I look like this, or I cared too much what people thought about me, right? But if I cared about building my brand, the way that I wanted to, building my name up, right, then you would have more people that are reaching out to you, or your price goes up, right? Essentially, your price goes up, right? Your value is more because you bring something marketable that's not only football but your brand to that school, right? And everyone knows everyone wants to make money, right? So schools are looking at you all as assets as well, right? How much money can I make off of this dude? You know what I mean? Obviously, they're getting you because of your football potential, right? But nowadays game, it's a lot different than how it was 20 years ago. Right? Everyone has personal brands in college football, right? So everyone ultimately is making that college more money. So if you have a personal brand, I feel like in the long run, it's going to make you a lot more money, and it's going to up your price for NIL value.
And how can players start building their personal brand online?
Start by just posting, or being authentic to who you are, and putting that type of content out. I would say you don't have to try to be like Alex Hormozi, all these business experts, and give great advice if that's not the person that you are, right? If you're just a gamer, or if you love to lift, you love to do these things outside of football, post that type of content, right? Go all out in it. Find out who the best are that does what you love to do, right? And copy and paste their exact business model. There's too many people out here making money doing what you love to do, right? For you to be like, oh, I gotta guess what they're doing, guess their business model. No, just copy and paste exactly what they're doing, right? And make it yourself, though. I would say take their models and make it genuine to like who you are. Don't try to change that. But I would say that's one way you can definitely up your brand, or just start your brand in a way. And you don't know your growth until you do it. You know what I mean? So the best way to grow is to just do it, right? So if you suck at something, do it more. That's the best way I would describe that.
I think also, what do you?
We'll take a break.
Also, players that